Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Girl Dad Show. Today, I am in beautiful and sunny Hawaii, visiting some friends here, and going to do some work, some consulting work, thinking through a wall climbing gym, and spending some time with some good friends, talking business, operations, and whatnot. But I haven't done a Girl Dad talk with you where I've given you an update on where I'm at on my professional parenting journey. And I thought I would stop for a moment and recap a little bit and catch you guys up on what I've been doing and what I've been working on and what I've been thinking a lot about as a dad. The first thing I want to share with you guys is that it's been really, really slow over the last like 9 or 10 months. I'm sorry, the first 9 months of the year, it's been incredibly slow with just business slowing down for most small businesses. And for my consulting business, which is really my primary income source, that has allowed me to fund a lot of my small business ventures, has really slowed down almost to a screeching halt. And it's been incredibly hard and very trying times. Probably some of the darkest times I've had professionally in the last 3 years was this year. And I think everyone is kind of sharing in that sentiment. You know, a lot of small business owners that I talk to are seeing a huge decrease in sales and in revenue. And a lot of people are getting laid off and having a long time in finding a new job, if they're even finding a new job. And so I think it's just kind of the entire market has been sucked in a little bit and slowing down. And so obviously I chalk it a lot to macroeconomics, but it's been very hard for me, even knowing those things and seeing the market trends. It's been very hard for me because, you know, as a single income family with, you know, ventures that I'm investing in and building that are not cash flowing yet, it adds a lot of pressure to perform and to be able to provide for my family and my kids. And it's been rough, but over the last like 3 or 4 months, I will say there's been a huge uptick in activity and in business, and I will say that I'm very, very grateful and happy to tell you that things have been picking up quite a bit. And it's been really good because over the last few months, we've seen a lot of business come in, and my consulting business is kicking in really nicely, and it's allowing me to make some income and have some new projects that are really fun and exciting, and that make me very optimistic about the years ahead of me. That being said, I will tell you something that's a little bit personal because I did sacrifice quite a bit during the down part, which is I really didn't want to lay anyone off. And so I took on quite a bit of debt to keep my team retained. And it was a decision that I made consciously because I just thought that, you know, um, it, it's something that I wanted to be known for after this. And I didn't want to be so short-sighted and just trying to really think about who I am and what I want to do and the values that I want to live by. And so I inherited that OPEX through the downturn, and it was very painful, kind of exacerbated the problem, but I'm super glad that I did. And, you know, looking back at it, I'm very happy that that happened and I made that decision because I'm a lot happier for it. And I'm really glad that I have my team intact. And if anything, now I'm actually bringing on more team members. And I believe that my team members are, you know, more grateful and hopefully more loyal for it. But it was a decision that I made that is, I feel, really important to me as a business owner and as a leader. And then, two, also just really grateful that I did that because I look back at it and I'm really happy with the decisions that I made. My dad always says it's really easy to be good when times are good. It's truly great when you're great when times are bad. And it's always resonated with me, that saying. And I always try to think about the darkest times and how you can really think about it not being dark forever, right? It's going to end. You know, the dawn comes after the darkest dusk. And I think about it that way and try to remind myself that, you know, the moments and how you act in those moments are really who you are, and you really get to test your mettle and figure out, you know, what values you're going to hold to when you're pushed up against the wall. And I think it's just a very important thing that my dad taught me a while ago. But I don't mean to get too dark about this. I just wanted to tell you guys that it's been really, really hard this year, and things are finally starting to come back, which is really, really exciting. And with that, I've been able to sacrifice quite a bit of time with family. Not able to, I had to. And it's something that my wife and I talked about. And I've been traveling quite a bit to consult. And as you can see, I'm in Hawaii right now, not with my family. And I just got back from Seattle, and I got back from Miami, and then Dallas, and then I'll probably be going to St. Louis pretty soon here, as well as possibly a couple of other states where there's some new clients that are coming in. And the thing that I was talking to my wife about was, just the ability to make less money and spend more time, or, double down when we have it and try to make as much money as we can, and sacrifice that time. And we have made the decision, at least in the short term, to sacrifice the time so we can make more money because of just the drought that we went through over the last year. And I'm not sure if it's the right decision, and we'll find out, in the future, and we'll monitor it on a month-to-month basis. But for now, I'm just working as hard as I can, and trying to pay down some of this debt that I incurred from this kind of drought season, and start saving up some money and get back to normal before we normalize a little bit. Just because I have no real clue how the world's going to look over the next 6 months, even the next year. And it does make me a little uneasy, that the world is like so massively ambiguous these days. And there's very few things that seem to be very predictable for me, anyways. And so I'm leaning more towards the side of plan B and extra safety. And that's kind of where I'm at. So that's kind of the update with me personally and where I'm at with my core business. And I do want to share a little bit about the second business that I want to talk to you about. And I could talk to you about all of them, but the big ones are the consulting business and the pool business. And those are the two major updates that I want to share with you along my professional parenting journey, and how I'm progressing here. My pool cleaning company has been growing very steadily throughout this period, and not enough to pay me, which is unfortunate, but it is still growing very, very steadily. And it's really interesting to think about all these high tech jobs and white collar jobs getting removed, and people getting laid off, and AI taking over a lot of those roles, or enhancing those roles so you can do more with less. But I will say the trades jobs, and especially home services companies and businesses, are actually thriving. Thriving in the sense that everyone needs these services still, and Blue Ocean is no different. And with a lot of good operational rigor, some good over communication, some good financial models, we have achieved a really good growth again. So in our third year of business, we doubled again. And so we'll be at just under $4 million in annual revenue this year in our third year of business. And it's just like so amazing to think about. And I just sit here, like, think about all the hardships and all the sacrifices and all the things that we have, put aside to build this business up. And, like, we're like 3 or 4 months away from the end of the year on this business, and we're going to round the corner, having doubled the revenue again, and actually looking at cash flowing starting next year, which is the original goal for all of this to begin with. And it's very, very humbling and gratifying to think about all this stuff. And I just think that it's something that is really hard to put into words what I'm thinking about. So hopefully I'll be able to process all of this as the year ends, and do another update for you in January or towards the end of the year. But for now, I'm just thinking through, like, the amount of work and effort and time and delayed gratification that went into building this thing. And, really, one, calculating if it was worth it, which is questionable. And then two, um, with it, what do I want to do next? And what does that look like? And it's a very interesting time, because we're all this work, all this hope, all of these kind of like, investments in the future. That future is coming closer. And now it's not years away, it's like months and weeks away. So it's a very interesting time for me mentally, as a business owner and as a professional, and then emotionally, as a human being, and then, just emotionally and mentally as a parent, because there's a lot of the stuff that I can actually be able to hopefully spend more time with my kids, and have the resources to do a lot of quantitative and qualitative time with my kids, which is going to be really fun. And then the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is just the stuff that I've learned through the last like year since I've given you an update on my life. And that's really around taking everything that you do and trying to assess how your inputs equal to your outputs. Like, for example, when we stopped getting consulting work, and it started to go down and down and down when everyone started getting laid off and the tech world wasn't investing. You know, the optionality was to double down and like basically do four times as much business development and five or six times more meetings and events and whatnot, and really putting myself out there to try to grab what I could, because it was harder to find business and jobs. And that worked. That allowed me to pitter patter through the first part of the year. But it's also about like the time that you're then spending with your kids and your family, and how do you balance the time that it takes to do those things and build this business, but also make sure that you're there for your kids' activities and their moments. Because I mean, my kids are young; they're like oblivious to like, I would say at least 50% of the stuff that I'm doing. I mean, they still think I just clean pools. So it's really, really interesting to like be there for them and try to like partner those two things together. And for me, I think the biggest insight and lesson that I've learned over this last year is just really good communication with my wife, and treating it like a partnership, and really understanding what things I need to be at, and making sure she knows I'm working hard for a specific reason, and what that looks like, and what things we can cut in expenses. I mean, we shut down a ton of different assets and businesses this year to like cut costs and really lean down. But even just like, minor things, right? Like what things can we slow down on? Can we travel less? And can we go on no vacations? And we did a lot of stay at home things this year. And she was very good about communicating the critical things that she felt that I needed to be at for the kids so I could be a good dad, while I was able to just hyper focus on, combating these problems as they came. And it's just really, really important insight to just over communicate and really build that partnership with my partner. And it kind of goes to, the big insight that for me is like, I feel like we've evolved so much. My wife and I have known each other for over 10 years now, and it's like we're completely different people, like two times over in that, decade plus that we've been together. And it's like this constant need to like relearn each other, and as we evolve and re-find each other and reconnect. And it's a very interesting thing to think about, because I think when you're younger you don't think about like how much work it takes to be in a marriage and have kids and raise a family. And then as you're in it, you realize that we evolve, and it's obvious we should have known that we're going to evolve as human beings. And you need to put in that time to over communicate your goals and dreams, and and be able to make those kind of agreements and compromises, because her goals and dreams are not mine. I mean, she actually doesn't agree with my goals and dreams, but she believes in me and she trusts me. And I think that, she has to make a lot of sacrifices to support my goals and dreams. And I have yet to sacrifice for her goals and dreams, but I'm hoping to be able to do so in about a year or two once I get these things set up. And yeah, it's a very interesting thought, but I guess the biggest point I'm trying to make here is like the ability to really take control of the choices that you have to make, over communicating with your partner, and really figuring out ways to do things as a team. So both utilitarian wise, like having her like tell me what key things I need to be at to be a good dad. That's a lot of utilitarian. That's a lot of efficiency, right? But also just alignment on the goals and really understanding what we're doing when we're doing it and why we're doing it. Meaning, like me being away for 2 weeks, trying to do a lot of consulting gigs and take on a lot of clients is not ideal for the family, but it's a sacrifice we're both willing to take right now. Just to get caught up financially. And so it's really goes hand in hand with this idea of like really controlling your time and over communicating it is the big lesson that I've learned this year. The second thing that I've learned this year is building and trusting your team. I know this is really weird to say because, it's an obvious cliche comment, but I don't think any of this stuff would have been possible if I didn't have a good team that I could trust, a good team that could trust me. And it goes hand in hand with what I was talking to you about earlier about, when times were tough, I didn't lay anybody off. I just kept everybody. And I even took on personal debt and business debt to cover their cost. and with no sign of hope or light at the end of the tunnel. I did that, and I think that it's like a level of trust that you need to have with your people, and it needs to be inherent on both ends. But none of this stuff could happen if they don't have the same shared vision and trust, and you need to be able to have the right people doing the right things at the right time. And so many components need to come together for things to operate. And this was really highlighted to me when I was talking to one of my clients, RevScale, and he's an AI tech company founder, and he likes to automate so many things. And in a moment of, in a moment of confidence, he, over dinner, he looked at me and said, "It like makes me so nervous and anxious knowing that you run a pool cleaning company, which is like 95% people." And so many things can go wrong because it's all people based. And I look at him and I just say, it makes me so nervous and anxious to know that like almost all the things that you do are based on automations and workflows. And because what if the world changes? What if things change? How do you remember to go back to each workflow and automation to adapt to those changes? I mean, it ripples so fast. You need people to be empowered to make those decisions, to adapt to the immediate changes inside. And it was really funny because we both looked at each other. I don't think we still don't agree. I mean, I don't think he believes what I say, and I don't really believe what he says. But for me, I find that being able to work with people and scaling through people is a much easier process for me because it really leans into this concept of being able to rely on people as long as you can figure out how to clearly communicate what's in it for them, what do they want, and what do you need, right? And figuring out a way to match those things together. And then being very clear about the scale and scope of the assignment. And what's really cool about that is inherently, if they share the same vision and they understand the concepts of like what you're trying to do, and they also have the competency and the abilities, you can then allow them to make those pivots and adaptations as those problems arise, which is going to happen in business. And it's a very, very interesting time for me because I'll give you a very specific example. One of my team members, Maeve, is now my business partner. So she is now an equity holder in Owners Club. And it's fascinating because, over the last 3 or 4 months, I now work for her. She runs all the finances, she runs all the calculations, she tells me when I need to like do X, Y, and Z. She tells me what I can, get paid. Like it's a very it's amazing. I'm not gonna lie. She's so super smart and she's incredible and she's amazing. And if you're a small business owner and you need business coaching, definitely talk to Maeve at Owners Club. She's way better and way nicer than I am as a coach. But I will say that that relationship wasn't just formed out of nowhere. It comes through trials and tribulations, lots of conversations, lots of alignment on values, lots of alignment on goals and needs and wants, right? And then, a shared unifying a vision, and then on top of that, being able to then trust and empower and coach, mentor, and guide people to, learn those technical skills, um, so that they can actually achieve those things, right? Because at the end of the day, if the vision and the goals are aligned, it's all just technical skills. And those technical skills you can learn. But I think the core thing is that once you get those visions and, I'm sorry, the vision and the goal aligned, it becomes very, very easy to scale with people. And I just want to give a big shout out to my team and everybody that's in it. My business partner at the pool cleaning company, Maeve at Owners Club, Jamie and Akash and FYA, and all my business partners at Honey and Hive and Flipboard Films and Next Up Leader. And I'm missing some here, but um, just so grateful for all the people and the teams that, I've been able to build over the last 3 years doing this. It's just so fun to like think about the impact that we're all making together and how close we are as humans emotionally and professionally. It's awesome. I think it's great. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And then the last thing I want to share with you to bring us home here is my kids are really, really starting to figure out who they are and become very active in their little extracurriculars and activities. And it is super fun to watch. Grace is finally breaking out of her shell and she's becoming very artsy. She's doing a lot of like creative stuff, and Lily is too. But she's also still doing soccer and she's really digging in, which is great. And I love that she's digging into that. And we have Amy's dad and her stepmom here with us right now. And that's been really fun to have the grandparents with the kids spending time. And for me, it's really been like a hyper focus on, because I have less time with them, like just this concept of like focusing on quality of time to compensate for the quantity of time, which I don't like that I'm doing that right now because I always like to have a minimum amount of time that I spend with them plus quality. But it really makes me ratchet up, the concept of quality. How can I make this really like good? And is that like just stopping and doing puzzles together, and or like playing hide and seek, and like really focusing in on the moment and trying to be as present as possible because the time is more condensed. And then also finding times for them to bond with grandparents and other family members, right? Because there's so much of that time that is like learning about family and social cues, but mostly like values. And I think that those values aren't really taught by talking at them. They're taught by spending those times together and problem solving together. Whether that's like as simple as playing a game or doing a puzzle together, right? Those values are taught inherently through actions and iterations. And so it's so super important that, in order to create that bond and relationship, going back to what I talked to you about earlier about, the shared vision, but, common values that lead to the ability to scale more. It's the same thing. And again, I hate that I'm relating parenting to business here, but it's the same thing with kids, right? If you want to raise your kids to be, contributing members of society, and you want them to be happy, and you want them to be able to overcome problems, you need to like be there for them as they go through that process. And you can't, I mean, you can, but it's not as easy to interject them in the real world problems. But day to day life problems happen all the time. And being a parent, focusing your time on doing those things and using those instances and moments to teach them values and problem solving skills and determination and grit, I think are very, very important. And so that's kind of really what I've been thinking a lot about, is just how do I enhance the quality of time with the kids, and then of course just thinking through all the stuff that's happening right now in the market and in the businesses, and what it all means to me. And so, needless to say, my brain's been a hot mess and a wreck, but having a ton of fun again. And I'm always trying to have fun, even when it's bad. I'm trying to have fun, but it's starting to actually get really fun, and I'm very excited about where we're headed in Q4, and really looking forward to seeing what, next year brings with all of these different elements coming together. And my biggest hope is that next year there will be a huge release of time and money, essentially, that I can then allocate back towards my health and my family, time with my kids. I'm I have in my goals to buy like a very small starter RV and do like 4 or 5, RV trips with my kids and my, obviously my wife, my family. And we'll see if Amy wants to do that or not. I'm not sure if she's worried that I'm not going to like it, but I'm definitely like very interested in it. And I feel like the idea of having that much time together as a family, kind of in, nature, um, increases not only the quantity of time, but also the quality of time, gives so many more opportunities to share in moments and bond and talk through new experiences together. And so, um, that's it. That's where my life is right now. And I know that wasn't as clear as I probably normally do these, but it's been a while since I've given you an update on my professional parenting journey here. So hopefully it made some sense to you. If you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to message me in social media and or in email, or just go to thegirldadshow.com and submit a form. Someone from the team will make sure that I get back to you. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying season 4. We have been switching it up a little bit. We have some really cool guests that are coming in. but we've now been bringing on some of my dad friends to just talk about hot topics and controversial topics. And so we've talked about divorce, we've talked about communal living, we've talked about iPads, and who knows what else we'll talk about. But I'm hoping you're enjoying the season 4 of the Girl Dad Show, and very excited to be able to share with you a personal life update because I haven't done this in a while, and look forward to staying in touch and look forward to yeah, continuing to grow together. Let's get after it. Bye, y'all. Oh, let me show you Hawaii real quick before I go. Okay, now bye, y'all.